Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Dr. Tony Chopper, and this is part 5 of the review, our deeper look into the Master Grade Nu Gundam version Katoki. In this part, we're going to look at how his weapons and accessories work with this guy, and whether or not he has any weight issues or anything else you should be worried about, maybe posability issues or something like that. Also, if you guys missed part 4, our transformation video, be sure to go and click this up here. It'll take you directly to it. Without further ado, let's get started. And here he is, the Nu Gundam put together. Now, I remember, guys, this part, I told you guys I'm not going to put it in because I don't want it to break. So it's going to be a little hollow for the rest of the review, but, hopefully that doesn't bother you too much. Now, the first thing you see when you have them all put together, well, the first thing I saw was just how intricate it actually looks from a distance. There's just enough color separation with the grays and the stickers that you actually put on to make it stand out enough. Now, also, it looks like the Nu Gundam is kind of disproportionate from here. The waist is a little too small, and the legs, of course, because Katoki did them, are freaking massive. But with the transformation, he looks that much better and slightly more proportional. And spinning around, here he is, fully transformed and put together. Now, I like to point out that the waist issue, like when I said the proportions were a little bit strange, that is completely fixed now that he is transformed. And you also get to see some nice Psycho Frame green abs on this guy. A little funny thing here, though, is the skirt armor here looks a little strange, and I'm not a really big fan of that. But this kit does an amazing job at separating its parts and giving you that real grade look to the kit. Also, we got all that Psycho Frame coming out, which is very good for the eyes, and also that yellow. It really pops out and breaks up that white color. You get those light gray parts along with the stickers, and those slightly lighter navy blue parts. You can't really see them too much, but they are still there. The little accents of red really make it really pop out. You got with here on the crotch, the chest, the chin, and the two parts on the back. Those parts really pop out because they're so little and scarce. And now I'm going to show you guys the articulation and the posability of this guy like this. Alright, now let's check out his articulation and see how it changed while all put together. Now the head, it's on a ball joint. This part right here actually pops up. That's mainly for the LED placement. I don't have one, so I can't show you guys, unfortunately. Now, every time you move it, he can still do like that chicken motion right there, but this part moves with it every time. The neck is really, really long, and you can always point up the head, and he looks like he's flying towards you, looking at you. It can go side to side a bit, and it can go a full 360. Just be a little bit careful there. Now the arm, it can go up this much, and of course it can go down. It can pop out forward like this, and if you put the arm over like that, you can actually touch the other shoulder relatively easy. Now, a little strange part, I've mentioned this before, is this part right here. You see that really naked looking hole, and it's really, really awkward and strange. The shoulder armor kind of just sits on there loosely, but it does its job. It doesn't really fall off. And yeah, relatively the same everywhere else. Now moving along to the waist is actually on a ball joint, so when you're moving around it can do all the ab crunches you want, but I've already noticed there's a little bit of weight issues. It kind of leans backwards. I'm sure this is going to happen a whole bunch more when our lovely, lovely fin funnels get put on the back. Now, it can turn about this much side to side before it hits some of the skirts. If you put it any more than that, it's going to knock off a whole bunch of different stuff. In terms of the legs can kick forward about this much for your high kick. Now, it can go up until it hits the skirt in the front. When it's going back, you can move this a little bit, but that kind of pops off. But you get about that much until it hits that part again. And going off to the side, you get it up quite a bit, but not too much more than that. You're not going to get too crazy of the split there. And of course, this part right here, it moves. So when you move it like that, the entire leg actually rotates with it. So it's not putting too much strain on that joint right there. Now in terms of the legs, the beautiful, long, sleeky legs, you can put them out like this and get some pretty dynamic poses actually. So the articulation is fairly strong in this one, and yeah, the backpack, nothing really changed too much. It looks a lot cooler like this though, of course, and yeah. Now, because this guy actually doesn't have too much ankle articulation, you can't have him in too strong of a forward-leaning pose. Also, I wouldn't recommend trying a kneeling pose because his ankles and toes don't actually make it that possible. I only could get it like this anyways with this popped off, and yeah, he's gonna topple over. And here he is next to a Zaku 2. And he's quite freaking big in comparison. He comes in around 22 meters tall, whereas this guy is hecka short in comparison, which is right around the same size, and it's pretty proportional in that sense. But you can see where Bandai went differently with their design philosophies here. The Zaku 2 version 2.0, over here with the Char's Custom, they went with a more anime-accurate, simplistic look. They gave it technological advances in the inside of the inner frame, but they more or less stayed with the original design of the Zaku 2. But here, for the Nu Gundam, they completely threw out the book. Hajime Kotogi had his hands all over it and transformed it into something that actually looks like it was the predecessor to the Unicorn Gundam. And here he is with the Psycho Gundam towering over him. Although he is 1 to 1/44 scale, he is quite a bit bigger still. So the Nu Gundam is really big for his scale, but nothing matches up to that giant behemoth. Arming up this guy is relatively easy. All you gotta do is, well, not pull off the hand, but I guess you could. You could take off the hand like this, and what you want to do is actually take off this peg part inside the hand right here. Then take your weapon of choice. Right now we're doing the beam rifle, and we're going to shove it in. Now with it put back into each other like this, the offsetting pegs do make it quite sturdy, and the manipulators are so good, it has this natural gun holding feel. And if we attach this back to the arm, here he is with the gun in his hand, and if I remove my hand, you can see that we have some very nice weight issues already with the beam rifle. This doesn't make me very confident with the rest of the kit, really. The beam rifle is one of those pieces that you really want to have in his hand, and he's not very good at holding it in his hand. I'm pretty sure it'll be the exact same if I put it on the other side, because the manipulators are the only thing that's really trying to keep this up. The arm doesn't really do too much. The arm's actually really stable and won't really move. It's really unfortunate. But there's one good thing about this, and that's the connection part right here is incredibly solid. So if there's one thing we can count on, it's the gun not falling out of the hand. It's whether or not this joint can hold it up. Now the bazooka works the same way. Take out this part right here, that little peg, and shove it into the hand. Great success! Now, when you have him with the bazooka, the new Hyper Bazooka, over his shoulder like this, it's actually relatively stable. Now, the issue with this part moving, it doesn't really matter too much, because the stock actually moves with it, so it makes adjusting this really, really easy. Now you can also put it underneath the armpit right here. Now the Nu Gundam does a relatively good job of cradling it under his arm like this, but you have to have it pressed up against his body in order for it to wedge in properly. If you move it out ever so slightly, it's going to fall down like that, causing some of those dreaded weight issues. Storage for the bazooka couldn't be any easier. These 2 points right here connect to this slot in the backpack. All you gotta do is pop it in until you hear a noise, and voila! It stays in relatively well. I'm shaking it pretty ferociously here, and it's pretty solid and stuck in there. You won't have to worry about this falling off anytime soon. The regular beam saber fits amazingly into the hand, and he does a very good job of wielding it. There's not too many problems here because it is so light, and he also can fit into this forearm. I'll show you right now. Opening up this part a little bit, this little peg sticks out, and you want to put it into this hole. So just plug it in like so, and put it like that. After that, you can collapse it back together. You can also pop this part forward because it is on this hinge, and it'll come out like that. So you can recreate the grabbing of the beam saber, pulling it out, and slashing people with it. And the Nu Gundam actually looks relatively cool with the bigger beam saber in his hand. It fits in there relatively well. This the finger guard actually fits nicely as well, and it's relatively pretty solid in his hands. You got to be a little bit careful of this bottom beam part because it does come off relatively easy, and you can also store it in the back over here. Now all you want to do is take this, fold it up like so, and then shove it into this hole. Now if you do that, you can move this part around, and you get, you can grab it from anywhere. You can actually maneuver the hand so that it goes all the way back and can grasp the beam saber like that if you need to. Now attaching the shield is relatively easy. Just gonna match these parts up and plug it in right there till you hear a snap. Now if you look at the Nu Gundam with the shield, it looks a little funny because it has to be put on the side like this. Now you can move the shield up into the front if you want to, facing everyone, but it's going to look a little bit like this. I've already found a major issue with the shield and the way it's connected. In theory it should work, but in practice it doesn't really work out that well. This part right here can become dislodged, and because it's not attached to the main part of the arm, the forearm, or whatever, it can come off because it's attached to the add-on which is added on to the arm. So I'm a little bit disappointed here. Now there's actually not many weight issues with the shield at all. It can come forward, it can go up, it can go down, it can do a whole bunch of things because the arm and the shoulder construction is actually relatively sturdy. I can shake it a bit and it won't really come off, but you got to be a little bit careful of this part still. Now, of course, you can put it down like that. It looks a little funny still, but with doing that you can see all that cycle frame come out, so maybe it was a good design choice. And this is what he looks like with most of his weapons on. Well, at least the main ones we usually see him with. The bazooka, the ream rifle, and the shield. Now, we've already uncovered 3 different problems with this guy already, though, with his weapons. His shield connection is not too good. It's kind of flimsy and wobbly. Not exactly what you want to see. The waist sometimes goes backwards a little bit with just the bazooka on there. So that is always a point that you can be concerned with. And also the beam rifle. The manipulators can't really hold up much. Even when it's down like this, I can't really hold it in there. A little bit disappointing. And I haven't even gotten to the fin funnels yet. So let's go and do that. So for playing with it for about 20 minutes in real life time, let the weight issues begin. Where do I start? First thing you see with this guy is that, oh hey, the fin funnels look a little funny. That's because they are leaning forward this way. That's mainly due to the design. At first, I was actually, I think I mentioned it before in previous videos, that the design of the fin funnels is a little bit messed up. I went over that in the weapons and accessories portion. I've just figured out how incredibly bad these things are. I actually spent 20 minutes. I crap you not, 20 minutes trying to get this to work. I'm gonna tell you this now. If you can get to stay in one good pose, keep it like that and never touch this guy again. Because, yeah, I felt like giving up like 15 times while trying to get this thing done. Just to show you guys how flimsy it is, and your inability to actually put him in any pose is really apparent. I'm going to put him a little bit forward, like this. Now, you guys can see how much that actually comes forward and arcs. Now, in the manual, to keep it in transform mode, they want you to keep the backpack portion up this way. So if you do it like that, you'll knock everything off, because these stupid little connection points right here with the teeth and whatnot don't hold anything for shit. Now, plugging him into the display stand is actually relatively easy. There is, that slot right there. And there's also a part right up underneath the backpack. Now, when you put it up and under it, it should fill in relatively well, like that. And then you just squeeze it up a little bit. As you are seeing right now, he is currently on his lovely stand, and the weight of the kit is a little too much for that arm down there. So if I leave it, I have to have it all the way leaning back for it to work and have it on there for even a little bit. If it goes forward even the slightest, it's going to drop forward completely. So you might want to go reinforce it, pin it. I don't know what you want to do there, but it's one of those dangerous areas where you kind of don't want your kit on. It seems to me that he was made to stand still and look good. After playing with him for quite a bit of time, this is as good as a pose as I can get him into, action pose-wise. He is leaning completely back on the display stand. Like I said before, you may want to get a new one. You may want to get something else, because that is incredibly loose and dangerous. The moment it leans forward, your kit's going to get destroyed. The arms do an okay job of maneuvering around the kit. They're not exactly the best, though. I would suggest you get something else. I've noticed if you, for the fin funnel right here, oh, and it's about to go over, and the fin funnel right here, if you don't have it in the right position, it won't lock properly, so it's just going to fall forward. So there's going to be a lot of things you're going to have to be finicky about and play with if you want to get them looking really, really nice on your shelf. Alright guys, that concludes this part of the review for the Masquerade Nu Gundam Verka. Now, I hope you guys liked it. We went over all the different poses that we could get with him on the ground and in the air. We talked about things like the fin funnels and how they connect to him, the weight issues on this guy, also the problem I found with the stand. Hopefully you guys will stick around and hear the conclusion. Now, I'm going to be implementing a new grading system. We're going to have 10 different categories, and in that I'm going to show you how this guy stacks up. And hopefully it'll be a little bit more accurate than the 10-point rating scale I have in place right now. My name is Dr. Tony Chopper, and I hope to see you guys in the next part. Peace out.